Hello YouTubers. I'll start this video by asking a simple question. Would the coronavirus decimate our economy and kill anyone, let alone a lot of people, unless God allowed it? Much like any other pandemic or disaster, it only happens because God allows it. So for those who believe in God, we're forced to ask ourselves, why did God allow the coronavirus to happen? I believe that prophecies from the book of 2nd Esdras provide the best answer. Over the course of the next few videos, I will be examining passages in 2nd Esdras in greater detail and will conclude by tying these prophecies in with prophecies found in the book of Daniel. Why would God allow the coronavirus to happen? Well, for the same reason that he allows any other plague to happen. As any Christian would inherently know, it's because our nation is filled with sin. The same reason that God allowed the plagues recorded in the Bible to happen. But the Bible also promises that the worst of it will be at the end, because sin has filled the earth. But what kind of sin? A lot of Christians think that God is punishing our nation because of gay marriage or something similar. I'm here to tell you that God is most certainly punishing our nation, but it's not because gay people have legal rights. 2nd Esdras states why, quite specifically, and it gives details of world events at the time. It states, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword of their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into the city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them. Like as they yet do to this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom. Thus saith the Lord God, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood on the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners, like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin, and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power, and defile not my sanctuary. For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for God shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him." So what does this passage say? It should be quite obvious that God promised to send a plague upon the whole earth because our sin is so great, because we fight with each other instead of working to do good, because of our pride and our lack of compassion, because of our greed. Then the chapter gives a description of the actions of certain nations. For example, the dragons of Arabia. We'll be looking at those passages starting with verse 28 in the next video or possibly the following. But I really want to harp on this point of how the people are acting during the time of the plague promised in 2nd Esdras, since 2nd Esdras really harps on the point. That's what almost the entirety of the next chapter is dedicated to, in fact. Ultimately, I want you to reflect on these two simple questions. Didn't God promise us plagues and all kinds of other bad things if we turn our back on his ways? So why be shocked if I say that this plague comes as a punishment from God? Here's a couple more passages from 2nd Esdras. I won't offer any comments, but simply let the book speak for itself. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish, are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, Food shall be so good and cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other, that escape the hunger, shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. The earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And finally, let me conclude with this passage. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child come forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth. The world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word. Make ye ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. He that selleth, let him be as one that fleeth away, and he that buyeth, as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise, as he that has no profit by it, and he that buildeth, as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth, as if he shall not reap. So also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry, as that they shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers. And therefore they that labor, labor in vain. For strangers shall reap their fruits, and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine shall they get children. And they that occupy their merchandise with robbery, the more they deck their cities, their houses, and their possessions, and their own persons, the more I will be angry with them for their sin, saith the Lord. I ask, do not the passages describe our situation and our society accurately? So you should not expect the government or the rich to save you. Only God can save you. They think that they're in control, but if they were in control, then the coronavirus wouldn't have happened in the first place. The coronavirus was sent to show how weak their power is and how evil their heart is. That's all the time I have for today. If you were helped by this video, please show your support by subscribing.